Hi Stampers, welcome to fancyforstampin.com. I'm Josie-Cauler. The other day I was fiddling around in the kitchen, cooking something, looking for a recipe, and I thought, I like to go to my mother's recipes when I'm making something special. I wonder if someday my children will want to do the same, and I know for a couple things they might. So I came up with the idea of using the Stampin' Up flip flaps in a totally different way than they're intended. I created, and I used retired product on this, a recipe book. I used the Mediterranean Blooms designer series paper and stamp to decorate the cover because I felt the fruit went well with what I was intending to do. So when you open it up, I have all of these different flip flaps with recipe cards that I bought where I can record, and I decorated pages with a retired Stampin' Up stamp set. I started to say I bought these recipe cards that coordinate, I thought, pretty well with the Mediterranean Blooms designer series paper because there's fruit on the recipe cards and there's fruit on the Mediterranean Blooms. Well, for today's purposes, I'm using another retired designer series paper. I'm going to be using the Berry Delightful because I'm using the same recipe cards to make the same recipe book. So let's get started. Here's what you need. You need a piece of 4 3/4 by 5 1/2 designer series paper of your choice. You need another piece that matches, that measures 6 by 6 1/2, and a piece that measures 6 inches by 12 inches. You're also going to need 2 pieces of coordinated cardstock that measures 6 1/2 by 4 3/4. And then I've got 2 pieces of basic white thick cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 5 3/4. And I also used the cardboard from a package of designer series paper. You need 2 pieces of that cardboard that measure 7 by 5 inches and 1 piece that's 2 by 5 inches for the recipe book frame, or spine, I'm sorry. And then you'll probably need about 7 or 8 of the flip flaps that are oriented landscape with the adhesive on the 4-inch side. These recipe cards measure 4 by 6 and they fit perfectly into the flip flaps. Okay, so let's get started. First thing we need to do is take our 6 by 12 inch piece of DSP and our 6 by 6 1/2 inch piece of DSP and flip it over so the side you don't want to show is facing up. And we're going to run a piece of tear tape right along the edge, 6-inch edge of the longer piece. Okay, that's close enough to the edge. And with our bone folder, we're going to rub that a little so we make sure it's stuck. Okay, and we're going to just overlap this smaller piece of DSP. Let me make sure I have it going in the right direction, same direction. I do. Okay, we're just going to overlap. So we make a piece that's about 18 inches long. Okay, and since this side, the seam is on this side, we're going to make sure this seam goes to the back of the book. Take these off. Okay, next we need to put some tear tape along the 3 edges of each piece of cardboard from designer series paper. So I'm going to put it along the top and bottom and one 5-inch side of the cardboard. You can also use liquid glue if you want, but when I'm making something like this, I prefer tear and tape. And on the 2x5 piece of cardboard, we're going to put it on all 4 sides. Okay. So then we're going to make sure the side without the tape on the 7x5-inch piece faces toward the spine of the book. We're just going to lay these out just like this to see where we might attach them. And we're going to leave probably 1/8 of an inch of space between the spine and the front and the back of each book. So we'll have maybe about 1/2 inch on the top and bottom, and about 1 inch on either side. So once I got those where I thought they should be, okay, I took a pencil and I just marked the corners of each piece. So when I take the tape off, I know where I should put the cardboard. This one's a little crooked. Okay, we can get that out of the way now. Move it over a hair. Let me see, where is that? Oh, I can't see that one. Here we go. I'll use the left side. Let me mark that again. This is going to, you're not going to see these pencil marks when you get it all put together. Okay, now this piece. There we go. We want it about there. I'll mark these corners. So I got my corners marked. Oh, and you didn't see any of that. I marked my corners. Once I laid out the cardboard with a pencil. So if I lift this up, you should be able to see my pencil marks. Maybe not, because this is striped paper, but there's one corner, another corner, 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 then the middle piece, and the right piece. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach one piece at a time, and I do this by removing one strip of tape backing at a time, and I'm starting with the 5-inch side for the left-hand side. This is going to be the front cover. So I've removed the backing on the tape, and I'm just going to fit it right back in there in those corners and push it down. Okay, now, and it meets perfectly here where I drew the other corners, I'm going to carefully remove these pieces of backing. Okay, put that down. You can use your bone folder to rub over the opposite side to make sure it's stuck. the way we want it to be stuck. Okay, now we're going to start with a narrow end of tape backing on the spine, and we're going to fit it in right into the corners. And here comes my head again. Just like that. Okay, and then I'll flip it over again and remove the rest. And maybe I won't flip it over again. Maybe I'll just come on. I know you can't see what I'm doing under there, but I removed the backing. Okay, now that's stuck on there. Now we're going to do this side. Remember, this edge without the tape goes toward the middle. So we're going to start with the 5-inch edge with tape, remove the backing, and we're going to fit it into those corners that we traced. Push it down, and then I flipped it over to remove the rest of the backing on these two pieces. Okay, there we go. Those 3 pieces are attached. I'm going to rub the DSP on the side that's going to show just a little, so that I know it's really stuck to that tearing tape. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is run tearing tape along the top, all the way across, along the bottom, all the way across, and down the 5-inch sides. Okay, we got the tearing tape down. Now you take your bone folder, and we're going to fold up the edges of this DSP. You can start without the bone folder first and just fold, 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 but then I like to take it and run it along the edges of the cardboard. My sleeves are getting in the way. Just like that, because it's going to need to lay flat when we attach it to the tear tape. Okay, I forgot to tell you, on the corners of your book cover, you're going to want to take your paper snips and just cut diagonally across the corners. I'm a messy stamper. Anybody else a messy stamper? I have stuff scattered everywhere. Okay, so it looks like that with the corners cut. This has been folded up all around. So you know, when we fold it over, it won't bunch up in the corners. Okay, so let's start with the top. I'm going to remove the adhesive backing. And we'll just fold that over. Push it down with the bone folder so we make sure it's really stuck. Okay, and then we're going to do the bottom. Come on. We'll fold it up. Oh, it's coming apart there. Might need another piece of adhesive. Well, that's because I didn't make the tear tape go all the way down to the bottom there. And now the sides. Okay, we got the DSP on the cover, so now we're going to gently fold, and you might need to use your bone folder to push in where we have this separation, otherwise the DSP will pull up. Okay? Alright, next thing we need to do is attach our, what is it? 4 3/4 by 5.5 piece of DSP right here, smack dab in the middle, to cover this piece of cardboard, to cover the spine. Now you can use tear and tape, you can use liquid glue. I like tear tape. So there, I want to get my berries going in the right direction. So I'm going to put some tear tape around all 4 sides of this piece of DSP. And I'll give it a rub with my bone folder to make sure. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but I'm using good friend's bone folder. Her name was Carol. We got these from our upline in March of 24 on stage in Houston, and shortly after that she passed away. And her husband, I've been helping her husband clear out her stamp room, and I decided to keep this as a memento of Carol. Okay, so we got tear tape on all 4 sides of that, and we're going to attach it to the middle inside of our cover. And this, if it's a little off center, it's not going to matter. So I'm not going to get real fussy with how I attach it. I'm removing all 4 sides of tear tape backing at the same time. And we're just going to put that right there over the spine on the inside of the book. Okay, and we're going to have to crease again, so we'll use our bone folder to lightly score and fold. And on this side, lightly score and fold so that it looks like this. Okay, this is the back side, remember, because we have the seam. Okay, next, now here's where I'll probably use liquid glue. We're going to attach our 6.5 by 4 3/4 pieces of coordinating cardstock to the inside front and back covers. And let me add a little liquid glue. Those are down, and then my pieces of thick white cardstock, 4 1/4 by 5 3/4. I added those off to the left and right of my inside, front, and back covers with liquid glue. Someone gave me at the last on stage in Long Beach this awesome liquid glue holder that she 3D printed, and I just thought that was pretty cool. I've been using a shot glass, and I still use a shot glass. It's multi-purpose. This is just for holding liquid glue, but either way, I thought it was pretty neat. Okay, and we got this one down. Okay, now for the fun part, okay? And that would be attaching the flip flaps. Okay, I believe this first one that I attached is going to go flush up against that piece of white, just like that. So when you lay it out, and then it'll fold over, okay? Just like that. So I folded this first in half, or not in half, but there. And now I'll take the backing off. And I'll fold it again, and I'll just put it right up against that piece of white, making sure the top and bottom edge meet. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Next one, I'm folding again, but pay attention. This, once I remove the adhesive backing, is going to go over the adhesive part of the one I just attached. Okay, so I fold, I remove the adhesive backing with my scissors. There we go. Okay, and it's going to go right over the adhesive strip of the first one, making sure the top and bottom line up. Okay, so then flip that way. Okay, the opening for this one will be here, and the opening for this one is here. But it doesn't really matter as long as the opening is there somewhere. Okay, so those are the first two. Next one, I'm going to remove the backing, if I can get it unstuck from my hand, and it's going to go right up against the one I just put down, right there, and it'll fold this way. Okay, and until we run out of room, we're going to add them. We're going to add, you might be able to get up to like 14 recipes in one book, depending on how many flip flaps you put in there. Okay, so this one is going right up against the previous, making sure the top and the bottom are lined up. Okay, I'm not going to add them all for you, but you've got the idea. Okay? So then when it's time to put your recipe cards in, you can put 2 in a flap. Just like that. And you can decorate it, decorate the front any way you choose. I've left this side blank, so if you want to write a note to whomever you are giving the book to, you can, or you can attach another, and you could also attach another flip-flap there, but I wouldn't. Okay, so there they are, my recipe book. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed your time here today. Oh, you know what you could also do is if you wanted to make some sort of attachment, you could wrap ribbon around, glue it down, decorate the front, and tie it here in a bow, or just tie it in a knot. Okay, now I'm finished. I hope you enjoyed your time here today. If you would like a written tutorial, send me a message and I'll see what I can come up with. Thank you and have a great day.